Okay, so today we have a group together to talk about holidays and special dates that can be particularly hard for suicide widows. And I think we all have different ways that we navigate the holidays and special occasions in our life. And we also are working on different timelines since our person died. So I hope this is helpful to us and to our loved ones and anyone who watches the video. And I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Carrie, and I lost my husband, Joe, April of 2019. So this group has talked, I think, in the past about secondary losses. And to me, holidays and special dates and occasions are really big secondary losses because Joe and I had so many traditions and really loving exchanges and memories. And the most important person in my world is gone. So to go and celebrate anything right now is pretty difficult, even though I'm about 18 months out from his death. He's not here to share our memories or the special little tiny things that we did every single year, the way we celebrated holidays and our lives together. And, he was the one who really understood me and knew all of my favorite things and knew how to really make me feel special. Knew how I liked my coffee on Christmas morning. And he really cared for me deeply. And I just miss that kind of loving exchange that comes with the different occasions that we shared together. And he was also a big romantic. And I, at Christmas time, and I'll show the photo again, he would lock himself in our guest room, and he would have ordered all these, live flowers and greenery, and he would come up with a theme and buy this really beautiful gift wrap, and he would spend hours and hours making this just extravagant gift presentation for me. And it was just so beautiful and loving and so gorgeous. I would save the wrapping paper and I'd have the flowers. He'd try to get flowers that would last for weeks. And it was just that act of doing that I really miss. And then also, this picture of us on Easter in the middle, just the joy that he had on holidays. I really miss his sense of humor and the childlike wonder that he had for holidays. And then on the far right, the photo is of our Oktoberfest party, which was always around Halloween. And as shy as he was, his only bit of being an extrovert would come out at that party, and he would design the menu, and he would be running the grill, and he'd wear his different costumes, and it was just so fun to see him that way. And when this time of year kind of approaches for me, I don't know how everyone else feels, but I can feel it in my bones. Like there's a physical reaction to his not being here that kind of creeps up on me. And I know that people want us to feel better and think that inviting us to holidays and events will do that for us. But for me, I really want space and understanding and acknowledgement. And I want our loved ones to understand and recognize that there is an empty seat at the table and a really big empty space in our hearts where our people used to be. And, my wish is that people would say Joe's name and that they would include him in our holiday, events and special occasions, and just really acknowledge him and keep his beauty in the world some way. And I want to tell people, if they were to ask, that it's okay to talk about him and share memories and say his name, because we're already thinking about them, right? I'm already thinking about Joe. I'm already sad. So it won't hurt me. It can help me. And I think it's really healing if people include him in the holidays and special events and acknowledge when I'm going through one of those special dates, because it really keeps him alive for me.
That's really beautiful, Carrie.
Thank you.
Well, I'm next. This is my husband AJ. He died in November of 2019. So it was November 8th. So we're less than a week away from the anniversary of his death, unfortunately. Um, I feel like I have a bit of a different perspective just being younger, and AJ and I were only married for 4 years. Um, we didn't really get a chance to build traditions together as a couple. AJ was also in the military for almost the whole time we were married. And so, yeah, like the holidays just looked different for us every year. And so that was one of the things that we really looked forward to in getting out of the Navy and being able to finally spend holidays with our families again. Um, and the last holiday season should have been our first round of holidays with our families. But unfortunately, he died before we got the chance. And so it was hard for so many reasons, but the holidays just didn't make sense without him. Like it just didn't make sense to be celebrating anything. And I'm curious how this year will be different because I'm a year out instead of like a month out. In some ways, like I was just still in shock and just like honestly didn't really care about much. And so, yeah, I like went to family celebrations, but it was like, it was just very painful. And I will say, I think for me, like, I want to be invited to be included, but I don't necessarily want to be expected to be included in different holiday events or celebrations because, yeah, I just sometimes you just don't know how you're going to feel until the day of. And so sometimes that might mean like, sometimes I want to be around people, like I need to be around people, and other times I want to be as far away from people as I can be. So um, I think if you're someone who is supporting um, a widow or someone who has lost someone recently, just be open and understanding. Don't take it personally if someone doesn't want to participate, but also says if someone declines an invitation, don't just assume they're always going to decline. Still include your widow friend in things, but just let them know like it's okay if you say no, and I will still like I'm here, and I will still keep inviting you to things for whenever it is that you're ready. I think that's a really good way. At least that's how I want to be treated. So I can't speak for everyone, but that's how I want to be treated. Um, and just in general, I will say, I know we're talking more about like the holidays, but like for our wedding anniversary was at the end of September, and I just had no idea what I would want to do that day. So I ended up making kind of loose plans with friends and basically was like, I might bail at the last minute. I might not want to do any of this. I might not want to see anybody. But just knowing that I had something like kind of on deck, or at least having a friend on call, so that I know I wouldn't have to be alone that day if, if I decided last minute, oh, I do want to, I do want to hang out with people. Yeah, that's one thing that has been helpful for me. I mean, again, this was just my first year of anniversaries and birthdays and everything, but I felt like my friend, if any of my friends are watching this, you're amazing. I have been like so blessed in the ways that my friends have kind of rallied around me and really just kind of, they didn't always look to me to make decisions, but they would give me options of things, and just either way, just I knew that I was supported. And I do want to echo something that Carrie was saying about just saying our loved one's name. Like I love when I hear people say AJ's name, and just in general when we do show up for things, especially around like holidays or family events, like please acknowledge the gaping hole that is there. It's really painful to be in a group of people who know your person, and to not have anybody acknowledge it, like that is incredibly painful. I know it's uncomfortable. You're not gonna like make us sad. We're always sad. We're always thinking about our person to some level. It's always there. So being acknowledged and acknowledging our person that we lost is like so incredibly valuable. And honestly, it doesn't, for me anyway, it does not happen enough. I don't think it can ever happen enough, but just be gentle with the widows in your life. Don't necessarily treat them like they're fragile, but just be understanding of any type of behavior, because it's a really hard thing to navigate.
I'm Roberta, and I lost my husband David to suicide about 3 months before the holiday season. And at some point between that time, it occurred to me that I'm heartbroken, but I'm not broken. And that I need to work on making sure I'm happy, because no one else can do that for me at this time. He was my whole world. He was my best friend. We did everything together. And I went from feeling like I would never be able to do anything again that I enjoyed, to embracing that I need to move on and keep doing the things that we did together. So when the holidays came around, I embraced them and celebrated in a way that I knew would honor David, as well as start to pave my own way with my new reality. So for his birthday, a couple of my relatives were visiting from out of town. So we went to his favorite restaurant and celebrated, had tears and laughter, but we did it. They were with me for Thanksgiving and they cooked, which was really great. And it was really comforting for me to not be alone at that time. And because we kind of spent the holidays just together, usually, not a big family thing. So for years and years and years, we've always skied on Christmas Day. Love it. Get up in the morning and go skiing. So I decided I'm going to keep doing it. I went skiing and I brought his ashes with me in my pocket. And I sprinkled his ashes on a lot of his favorite runs. And I found a friend to do some runs with, so that was good. And it was just really, for me, a powerful experience to be on the mountain that he loved, to do the activity that we love to do together, and to put his ashes where he would want to be. And on New Year's Day, I took our dog cross-country skiing, and to one of his favorite places again, and spread ashes and cried. And for me, it just feels like the right thing to do, to keep on doing those things and bringing him with me and sprinkling ashes. And, you know, it's sad that he's not there, but I still feel like he's there, if that makes sense. And a thing that I'm trying to be more social. So I was invited to some holiday parties and I went, and that's something we didn't do together. We would be invited and we didn't go. We always declined. So for me, getting out to gatherings was kind of a beginning of paving my own way and starting some new traditions for myself. And so I'm trying to, you know, move on and embrace embrace the new reality and know that those were happy days and I can still be happy and I won't ever forget them because I love them.
Thanks, Roberta.
Hi, my name is Kim. I've been widowed twice, and the timing of this is pretty perfect because today I really miss both of them. So these pictures come up. Deborah is the one who's pictured with Santa. She died in 2009 from cancer, and I know this is a suicide widow thing, but it will become more evident shortly here why I'm showing both of them. Deborah died when she was 50 and I was 43. So we were several years apart. And one of the occasions that was really hard on me was when I turned 50. And I have quite a math brain. And so the day that I realized I became to the day, the age that she died was really hard, really hard. And by the time that had happened, I had my second wife in my life, Anne, who's pictured in the middle and to the right. And so Anne was really able to help me through that day. I just remember losing it in the shower. And Anne helped me through all kinds of things, as did Deborah, but this is a suicide group, so I'm going to mainly talk about Anne. And one of the things that Anne did, because Deborah died on the 21st of September, 2009, which happens to be International Day of Peace. And the first September that I knew Anne, she knew that I would be home sad. And she said I could do that. But she had a suggestion that in the afternoon, we should do something more uplifting. And so together we created a tradition of holding a sign. And the picture you see here, the second year, my dad and Anne had made a sign out of fabric, and pardon me, it was very elaborate. And so again, it's the International Day of Peace. And so the sign says, World Peace Day, honk. And so we held it over the highway on at rush hour, and it was so pleasant because I'm sure it turned the day around for some folks who were driving home from work. The fact that I had my second wife honoring my first wife was very special. And the picture to the right, I'll get to in a minute. So this year, because Anne died on the 1st of April, 2020, that meant this year that Anne wasn't able to join me. And apparently I mentioned it to one of Anne's friends. I don't remember having done that. But she said, you know, if you ask us, we'll do it. So there were a group of her friends who joined me this year, which was very special. And then a friend of mine, especially because they didn't know Deborah, right? And in fact, I had one person join me who didn't know Deborah or Anne, but she wanted to come. And she's got two little girls who are 7, and they made a sign, World Peace Day, and they want to come next year. And so it's kind of turning into this thing, right? That's positive. The picture to the right was Anne with my niece, who's now 8, last year, and they did it together. And Anne and my niece are really close. And if you watch some of the other videos, it comes up that the two of them are really very close and really good for each other. And they had secrets and they had conversations that had nothing to do with me. So as we're going to hold the sign last year, my niece says to Anne, why are we celebrating that she died? Right? And so then Anne got to explain, no, that's not what we're doing, and gave her explanation as to what we were up to. So I'm not sure what the message is, except that it's not just holidays that are hard on us, right? So for people who are watching, yeah, Christmas or a birthday can be hard, but there's also these other things that these people are in our lives every day. And so there's all kinds of special ways that they honored us and that they celebrated with us, and they made our lives easier and more wonderful. And all the things that were so awesome are now to some degree tainted and difficult. And I appreciate Anne because she took something that was hard and made it better.
Thanks, Kim.
That's really beautiful, Kim.
Hi, so I am Pamela, and my husband Jeff died almost a year ago, the Friday before Thanksgiving of last year. So like Christina, I'm coming up on 1 year. As you can see, we have 3 wonderful teenage kids. My 2 older daughters are 18 and 16, and my son is 13. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about how to face holidays and special celebrations when there are kids who also have, a lot of strong feelings and fears and thoughts and love and pain. And it can be hard. And certainly, my kids are older, so there's a lot more talking to them, bringing them into conversations about what to do, how we want to acknowledge, celebrate, not celebrate. As I said, Jeff died just a few days before Thanksgiving, so that was, very hard, but we had always gone down to see my family. We live in New England. I am from the South, so we had always gone down, and we decided to go ahead and do that. We needed, I talked to the kids immediately and said, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay here? Do we want to, keep our plane tickets and fly down? And they said, we need to be with family. We need to be surrounded by that family. And so we did that. And, I think that was such a good decision. It gave us a chance to get away, but also just let other people take care of us. And that's one piece of advice I would really give is, really, especially with kids, let other people help you. Let them be involved. People want so much to help and to, take care of you, but also your family. And so we did that. I let my family, rearrange our tickets, get reimbursed for the ticket we didn't use, like every little, get us a car, get us, I was just like, we need to come home. Can you make it happen? And they did. They just made everything happen. We normally, stay at my dad's house and all the grandkids pile into one room. But my kids, I asked them, do you want to do that? And they said, I'd really like to have a place to be by myself when we're at Granddaddy's house this year. And my family did it. Like people had to go stay at other people's houses, for the week to make room for, my kids to each, you guys know how big family gatherings are. Like your own room is a huge deal and it's never afforded teenagers. But they did. They were like, if this is what they need, this is what they get. And I think another just sort of other point I wanted to make is I have found it really helpful in looking at all of the holidays. Jeff's birthday and Father's Day were the same weekend. That was a big weekend for us this past summer. Christmas also. I found it really helpful to work with a group therapist who the kids and I meet with very periodically, once a month maybe, but especially when we were facing sort of important and what we knew would be hard times, she would help us. And I think especially as a parent, that's so important because the kids, we're all so protective of each other. We all want so badly to help each other and to not hurt and to not make each other sad, that it can be hard to have conversations with just us around what do you want to do? If one person says, I really want to spend the day doing things that Dad did. And it's hard for someone else to say, I want to do all new things. And so when you're a group unit like that, it's really helpful to have someone outside of that sort of circle of care help guide you and help make sure everyone's desires are being considered, and that it's not just whoever spoke first because everyone else wants to take care of them. So that was really helpful, and something we ended up coming up with, or that I came up with for his birthday. I was going to show. I put together. Can you see it there? So this is it's a song list that that I made, and what I did about a month before his birthday, I put out a request on Facebook and on email to people in all parts of his life and asked for everyone to send us a song. So we got this long playlist of songs, and to send a song that reminded them of Jeff, and the memory, to describe that memory, and a picture if they had one of that time. And so they did, and I went through and I got all these wonderful, pictures and memories and who people are and when they knew him, and the, REM concert they went to together in high school, or those sorts of things. And I gave this to them on his birthday, and it was a way for them to experience in their own time, in their own space, all of these different parts of their dad, without us having to, I think one of the things that can be hard about these holidays is you put a lot of pressure on yourself to, be sad or not be sad, or be just enough sad and just enough happy and just enough memory and just enough, everything, that it just makes it so stressful. And so I think what we tried to do was come up with things that really felt like we were participating and acknowledging, but we also gave ourselves a lot of space on that day to just, if we didn't want to spend the whole day, in this very rigid ceremony, we could do it. So that's what's worked. I'm anxious about the holidays coming up, as you guys said. One of the things that our therapist talked to us about recently was all of us acknowledging what anxiety we have about it. So to really understand, why am I so anxious? And it's really interesting with kids, especially, it was very different things. Some of them are scared to show sadness. Some of my kids are scared to not be sad enough. So to really sort of talk about those things, and then just figure it out from there. I will also just add a quick me too on the saying his name. I've said that every time I have a gathering of people, especially with the kids. I'm like, those memories that you, other friends, family, people have are all that's left of Jeff. That's all my kids have of their father, is what they're hearing from other people. So please share. It might make us sad, but that's better than not having Jeff be a part of our lives anymore.
Pam, I think about, I had Joe to celebrate everything with for 24 years. And again, going back to saying his name, you just don't want him to disappear, right? And at the same time, I'm trying to reshape all these events in a way that honors him and brings me some kind of peace so that I can get through them, because they're so hard. And our anniversary was yesterday, and the day before that was Halloween. And I've tried for the last 2 years, from a friend's suggestion, to do a Day of the Dead ofrenda. And I think I mentioned this in one of our calls previously, but it really I've found it kind of healing to do something to acknowledge those two really special days, but in a way that we did not do together. And I still make the same food that he always loved, and I put it in a little bowl for him, and I set up pictures, and I had our dog's bone there because she died this year, and there was just something that felt so right about honoring him that way. And I carved a pumpkin and I lit it, and I tried to bring a little bit of what we always did together and a little bit of new. And, you know, I love hearing what all of you are doing, because I think for me, I do want to have that combination. I can't just close my eyes and pretend like none of these things are happening. And I don't want to forget all the beautiful things that we shared together. And I want to practice some self-compassion and just find some peace. When I pull up into my garage, I can see all of our Christmas and Halloween and Easter and party decorations. They're just stacked on these shelves. And I pulled one out and put it right in front, and it just says peace on it. And I see it every day when I pull in, and that's what I'm really hoping for all of us, you know, through all of this, is just, if we can just find a little sliver of that, that would be great.
I wanted to just say something real quick. Kim brought up a really good point that it's not just the big holidays that are significant days to us widows. And so one kind of practical piece of advice for people who are supporting a grieving widow is to ask them the important dates to them and put them in your calendar. You may think that you're going to remember, but likely you're not, because life is crazy and like a pandemic happens and then just like everything goes out the window. So put it in your calendar so that you remember to just like be there for your friend. My friends that have done that, like, it honestly has meant a lot to me that they just took that extra step to try and remember these days, so that every year when they come up, I don't have to be the one reminding everybody, hey, it's my anniversary, like this day's gonna suck. So just a little piece of practical advice.
I like hearing from all of you, because I'm going to borrow some of your ideas.
I'll also just reiterate Christina's yes to the keep inviting people to things. I think that's another really important. And I actually had a funny story. One of Jeff's very best friends, after Jeff died, would call me about once a month just to check in and make sure everything was okay. And I don't know, 4 or 5 months in, he was like, will you let me know if you ever need anything? And I said, I don't know that I will. I said, I can't think of things to ask for, so I don't know that I will. And after that, he called me every week instead of every month because it just meant so much that people realized, or someone realized, that me pushing away and saying, I can't deal with what I need, like, don't ask me that, instead of saying, okay, I'll leave you alone and never invite you to anything or never call you. He was like, okay, I'm going to be there more. Like, I'll just figure it out. I'll see when you don't answer the phone. All right, I better come over. So I
Very
really
nice.
don't let the widows push you away. Be there.
And surprises are, to me, welcome. I received a care package from my sister-in-law and nieces on the anniversary of David's suicide. And my 3 nieces made beautiful handmade cards with messages. They sent whoopie pies from Maine, because that was the thing that David and I used to always get for my nieces when they were little kids, just to bug my brother. And they sent me 2 whoopie pies, and you guys, I ate them both. I ate 2 whoopie pies.
Yeah, you did.
On that day. I ate them. It was a little bellyache, but it was just it meant so much that they remembered that, and they sent that box, and with lavender candle and just other things that were just, so it it made me cry and cry and cry, but it was so beautiful that I received that box, not expecting anything that day. So
Isn't it amazing how sometimes just a little text just says thinking of you, that they just, you're in someone's head.
Mhm.
Yep.
You feel so connected because it's so easy to feel so disconnected.
Honestly, a text like that is much better than a "how are you" text.
Yes.
No kidding.
It's just
Yeah.
exhausting to, like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how I am. I don't want to have to figure out how I am all the time. I'm just trying to survive, but it means so much when people just let me know they're thinking of me.
Yeah. Well, good luck to all of us, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Every day.